This is Kitzur Yomi as we're concluding the halachos of Yayin Nesach, the end of Simin Mem Zayin Sif Chof Beis. Teaches the Kitzur Kol Hakelim Shesh Yid Beis Chadash, any utensil that is aged for 12 months, they have not been used for 12 months, Mutar Mamotar Ki Bevade. Why? It's certain Kol Lachluchas Yayin Shabhem. If it sits empty for 12 months, all the lachluchas, the moisture of wine has dissipated. Even if water was placed there within 12 months, ein bekach klum. And we take him from there up to Simin Memches as we dive in to the wonderful world of brachais, beginning with the Chamishas Mine Dagim, says the Kitzur Sif Aleph. Lechem shehu mechamishes Mine Dagim, bread from one of the 5 grains. El shubasba bekistin, but it's not bread, but rather it's pasaba bekistin. Now, just the term is important. So note 8 over here points out that this is a baked good, usually not the mean of a meal, or usually not eaten with the mean of the meal, but it's similar to bread. So we're going to see that it's more of a mezonos type of cookie. But now, if you eat less than the shir kviya suda, then what? In it's litil sidayim, vein varchal lavam moitzi, and rather el b'yim mizaynis. So again, this is any form of mizaynis, cake and whatnot. Certainly, a lot of the products that might be interesting that we call them mizaynis bread and whatnot. That maybe we'll talk about the fact that that's a bit of a fallacy. But we're going to see over here something incredible. Then you're going to make a mizaynis ula'acharav alamich. Aval, and this line is so critically important. So the Kitzur is talking about, again, a mizaynos item, not bread. So if you want to say we believe in mizaynos rolls, you want to say you believe in mizaynos bread, you want to say you believe in mizaynos pizza, okay. But if you eat a shir kviya suda, then automatically, if it's made with one of the chamishas minei dagim, it's a klal. Then azai dinoi kelechem gamor takes on the din of full-fledged bread. Tzarch latil siyadayim, overvarch lava ma'itzi, ula'achrav birchas hamazon. This is so critically important because, as we just said, and this will really extend to cakes and other items and crackers. But there, you're never going to usually, you're not going to have such a quantity that's going to require it. But what's very clear is that if there is an entity, and I say if because it's a masa machlaikas, mezainis bread, a fruit juice bread, etc., etc. But if it's a meal, if you had a shir kaviyah suda, then you're going to have to wash and bench. Says the Kitzur now, what is this? It's made like a pocket, filled with fruit, meat or cheese. There are those that are made like fladin. What are fladin? It's cakes with layers of dough with honey, etc. It's bread that's kneaded with oil, or shuman, or fat, or dvash, or honey, or cholov, or milk, or beitzim, or eggs. Starting to hear it's a cakey type of item. And again, listen that there's no water. You have all these other items. I feel and even if you put in a little bit of water, so the Kitzur says that if the water is a meat, note 18 points out that it's totally, he says the Mishnah Berurah, that the dominant flavors are not the flour. So all these other items like cake and cookies and whatnot. We all that they're all basba bekistin. Fine. So you're going to be basba bekistin, but let's not forget they're basba bekistin. But if you have a shir kviya suda, you have to wash. What is shir kviya suda? We don't do each and every person's. Ala b'raiv b'nei adam. It goes by the raiv. Kamish ragil lech, or what a person normally eats with suda sarayim and suda erev, lunch or supper. Lizbaya, to satisfy himself. So if someone eats this quantity, maybe you're not even full. Now let's say, and this is really where things get a little difficult. You ate this bread, this cake, whatever it is, but you ate it with lifton. You ate it with meat. You ate it with something else. Then, says the Kitzur, What other people would eat in this way, would they be satisfied or not? And Note 26 points out that even though most people would not have been satisfied with this type of bread by itself, but we look at the entire meal, your entire tuna fish sandwich, your entire whatever it is, pizza. Over here, they continue in Note 26. Zakta Hilger and Moshe Feinstein, that we determine the amount of regular bread you would eat. If that amount of kistis bread is eaten, then you make ha moitzi. And Ramosha writes that we don't eat so much bread, and therefore it's going to be less quantity, not so much. He said less than the volume of 4 eggs. He says you go to a wedding, what do you eat? You only eat a little bit, and therefore that's a meal. So you just got to be careful. Let's say you eat a little bit, you're full. If other people would have eaten this, but other people would have been filled if they ate it with other items. You're filled. Din lechem. For you, it has a din of lechem. Okay, sif dalet, a very common case. You only want to eat a little bit. And you said you want to eat more. So the case that we'll use, let's use pizza for an example. So let's say many people say pizza is straight from mighty. Let's say pizza is an example. That's going to be somewhere in between. That's going to be, possible bekistin. It's a mezonos until you get kviyas suda. So let's say you're going to go with the 1 slice mezonos, 2 slices hamaitzi. Let's say you go that way. Big machlaikes, 2 slices kviyas suda. Fine. So you had 1 slice. Now you realize you're full, or you're hungry, or you really like the pizza. You can have more. Same as that. If you want to eat more, like the case I just said, you had 1 slice. Now you can have 1 more slice. That which you had before you combine them, then what? You eat it, no nitzilas yadayim, and no ha-moitzi. No nitzilas yadayim, and no ha-moitzi, no ha-motzi, no ha-motzi. Mavarch acher kach, but afterwards, because again, you ate 1, mezainis. Now you're hungry, you eat another one, still nacha mezainis. But together, you got a bench. Aval let's say you had 1 slice. The pizza's gavaldik. I want 2 more slices, and you usually wash on 2. But you think, wait, I already made a mezainis. No, sarach litzel yadav. You wash your hands. On that which you're going to eat right now. But on al michya. Aval birchas al michya ino tzarich levarich al ma she'achal. However, al michya you do not make. Aval birchas al michya ino levarich al ma she'achal. You don't first make it al michya. Why not? Which for us that we learned halacha. Anytime you eat before a suda, and then you can eat in the meal, you got to make a bracha achrayna beforehand. Explains the kitzur. You know why? Because it's mitzaref with the suda mashu eichel v'yiftar b'birchas hamazon. Very important halacha. People unfortunately don't know this so much. So again, you have 1 slice, you can have 1 more. You don't make a new bracha, you just bench. You have 1 slice, you have 2 more, you wash it, you make a mitzvah, then you bench. And again, this is all assuming that's what you do on pizza. But you just see that they do combine at some level. And finally, we conclude with sivei. We have dough with water, and it's loose. It's a loose batter. If you bake it in an oven, frying pan. Even if you have some fat, more like a lafa. If you fart in a liquid, it's never going to be bread, even if you eat the amount that is full. So this is where things get very, very complicated, because this sounds like there could be a time that it's mafkia entirely. that it's never bread, even if you're full from it. And some will say this is what a wrap is. Rav Elyashiv said it's not bread, meaning not that it's possible to be kissed in and it could become bread. No, it's never bread. That's Rav Elyashiv. Other held Mishnah is like and those wafers you dakin ma'oy, they're very thin. Shavin b'tfus b'shem vein b'shnei barzilim, very very thin. Crackers. Inlam dinlach avilach menikdei svi avarach barim nimzenos achrav ala micha. Palmim Meisin Isa Rakam Be'oid, very loose. I know Shanese Kemach Lumayim Bekedera, Ma'ar Moisa Bekaf, more like an oatmeal. Shavchnasan Aleli Yerakas, you put on vegetable leaves and Efa Batan or Lalim, and then you bake it. Azesha din paso bekista, and it is a din, then it does become more of a mezainis. These cases a little bit complicated. We'll pick up from here. Besiyata Dishmaya.